Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Clay with Heavyweight Comics, and I come to you today with a fulfilled promise, and that is I promised I was going to start doing some more DC books, and boom, today I have done a DC book. Today we're jumping into Batman, the Doom that came to Gotham. And what's interesting about this book is that it's an Elseworlds book, which I guess back in, I don't know, 99, 2000, whatever it was, DC had a property coming out called Elseworlds, where it was basically just alternate realities and different versions of their characters and other universes, or however you want to say it. It's just an alternate reality Batman. And what's really cool about this also is that this was written by Mike Mignola, and the creator of Hellboy, and he's got a very distinct art style, and it's pretty attractive. When I was like really young and I saw some of Hellboy's original art, I was kind of turned off. But as I'm older, I really look at it and I'm like, wow, this is actually really cool. But the deceptive thing about this title is that Mike Mignola did the cover art. He did not actually do the interior, which I was super disappointed about, because when I looked at the cover, I was like, oh, cool, Mike Mignola. But then it says, with Richard Pace and Troy Nixney and Dennis Janke with Dave Stewart. I had never seen so many creative people on the front of a cover before like that. So there was 5 people. And then on the inside, obviously, it says, plot, Mike Mignola and Richard Pace, script, Mike Mignola, but then the penciler is Troy Nixney, or Nixie, and I was, oh, that's so disappointing, because I really would love to have seen Mignola art in the whole thing, but regardless, it was still cool to see that, Mike Mignola doing some stuff with DC. So as far as this book is concerned, I finished it, and without, or as few spoilers as possible, I actually really enjoyed this book. It was, a little bit kind of dark for my taste. In this Elseworlds, it's based in the 1920s. It's kind of a steampunk-ish feel to it. Obviously, it's just like a big city, and they're sailing on boats, and I don't know how else to describe just the city. There's parts of it that are it seem modern, but at the same time, they're supposed to be back in the 1920s. But there's lots and lots of nuances in this book that are so fun to see and find out, compared to what we actually have in real DC canon. You see Oswald Cobblepot, the Penguin's in this book, Oliver Queen, the Green Arrow's in this book, and there's several other, mainstream DC characters in this book, but their roles are slightly different, or their appearance is slightly different, and it's really fun to kind of see Mike Mignola's take on this. One thing about this book that I would stress to parents, as I am a parent, and that's really a lens that I look at these comics with, is that this book does, if you're sensitive to kind of some kind of creepy pages or creepy panels, there are some demonic appearances in this book, namely Etrigan, and I'm going to try to let that be the last spoiler that I'm actually give, but Etrigan is in this book, and this book definitely gives a more spiritual feel to it, that Batman is not just going to be fighting. Again, this is just book 1 of 3, so this is only the first part, so I don't know how the story progresses yet, but this does definitely feel that though Batman is going to be taking on a more spiritual aspect, or it's kind of like if I could compare it to something, it'd be like Indiana Jones. He's an archaeologist. He believes in things that he can feel and touch, and so when he encounters something very supernatural, it's definitely surprising to him. And so for Batman, this obviously feels very different, in my opinion, that he's very used to taking on the bad guys, hand-to-hand combat, something that's real and tangible. But this looks like it's going to be something kind of supernatural for him to combat. And that's fun, that's interesting. But just for parents out there, be aware that, hey, you're going to see Etrigan in here, and whenever Etrigan comes into the picture, it's a little bit kind of creepy. So that is definitely present, but the art is fun. What's his name? It's Troy Nixie does a great job in this book. The art's very captivating, even though it can be a little bit creepy. Some of the redesigns from the characters are a little bit, odd. But it's a unique art style, and I think it fits the tone that this book is going with, and it's fun. I'm excited to read issue 2, and I think I would recommend this to anyone who enjoys Batman. Obviously, goodness gracious, I'm looking through some of the panels even as I speak, and this Batman really is just super fun to look at. It does have this steampunkish feel, but he looks good. He really does look good. I'd say he's in, undoubtedly one of the top 10 Batmans in my opinion for an alternate look to Batman. I think it's very unique, but it's also just it's got a lot of nuances. That's the only way I know how to describe it. This book is just full of nuances and little things to find and appreciate. I am also noticing that, especially on the cover page, this is based on the 1920s, and I am not a gun expert by any means, but his gun looks a lot more, I don't know, modern for such an old book. Maybe that's just the way it is with Batman, where he's always like 80 years ahead of the trend. He's just high tech. So back in 1920s, he's got the big guns, I guess you could say. So, this book is a lot of fun. I will also say this is the last thing I'm going to say. I think I already said that, but forgive me. One thing I was confused about this book. So there's a character called Gregan, I believe is that. I think that's his name. And there's a cool twist on the character that I won't spoil, but even on the cover, it definitely gives this Mr. Freeze look. I am so interested to find out if this guy is Mr. Freeze or how exactly that works out, because he looks just like Mr. Freeze, and the backstory or what's currently being said about the character gives off that this is Mr. Freeze. And I'm dying to find out, is this Mr. Freeze? Because it sure as heck looks like him. But anyway, let me know what you guys thought in the comments below. Have you guys checked out this series? Don't give me any spoilers about book 2 or book 3, but did you enjoy this series? Did you enjoy book 1? Are you a fan of Mike Mignola's art? Let me just know. Let me hear from you down below. Also, let me just drop a quick name drop for our sponsor. That's EricNieltowskiArt.com. Eric Nieltowski is a phenomenal artist. Go check out his website, support him, get behind him, check out his prints. He's got awesome stuff, whether it's TMNT, your classic superheroes from DC, Marvel, or something like along the lines of what's that awesome game, that kind of some of the kids today are playing. Oh yeah, Overwatch. He's got tons of Overwatch prints, and they all look phenomenal. So go check him out, EricNieltowskiArt.com. He's a good friend of mine. Support him. He's got great things that he wants to do with his talents. So anyway, God bless you guys, and thanks so much for stopping by. I'll catch you later in the next one. Bye.